Hello, brothers and sisters of Lion. Welcome to my page. My page is by Common Sense. I try to keep it down to nitty gritty under 10 minutes. If it goes over 10 minutes, that's something very fucking important. And of course, if you don't like sensitivity, explicit language, you don't like, you're just too sensitive, okay? Just get your ass off my page, okay? Because I have no time for it. As I said before, when I say light and dark, I'm talking about people, beings on the left and also on the right, okay? People of the wisdom, which is very few and far between, and also those who are blind, okay, by religious and faith, okay. Now, okay, if you have any comments, suggestions, or insults, you put it down below. And this topic is somewhat is important, but to me, it's kind of like, we are in a pandemonium type of world in which chaos is almost in every angle and every pinnacle of achievement in this world, no matter what happens, okay? Innocent, good, bad, sorrowful, painful, or tormentive, okay? Or insanity, okay? And so I just want you to understand something here. If you have any comments, suggestions, or insults, you put it down below, because I know a lot of people are not they don't have a good attention span, okay? So I try to get rid of them by at least the 1 minute mark, okay? Now let me continue. It's 1 minute and 23 seconds. Okay, this video is going to be about, racism. Does racism exist? Okay. Now, I'm going to title it differently because this is very important, because I have watched a couple of videos with Larry Elder, Thomas Sawyer, okay, Sowell, okay, I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And of course, you already know Tommy Sawyer, Myoder, and Tariq Nasheed. I apologize for the misname. I just got up, okay? Brain farts, okay? I told you my page is about comedy, and I try to not take sides on any side, of course, obviously. I'm more for the good, though. But I could be more for the bad, depending on how you, read me in my darkest thoughts, okay? I am more for the dark side. And as I said before, everything in this life is chaotic. It is meant to be this way. Okay? Now, please understand that I, and also the voice within, okay, know that there is racism that still exists, okay? Now, when you look at someone like Larry Elder or Thomas Sowell, okay, well-known, established academics who went through the white institutionalized European empires, okay? As I said before, I'm not taking sides, okay? I'm just trying to tell you, you have to understand that they lose a part of their empathy, okay? Of the Jim Crow laws, the Willie Lynch, okay? They can't feel for the sufferings for African Americans, okay? Especially these type of Negroes, okay, are basically the ones that fall through the crack. You could consider them victims if you want, okay? But sometimes I use that too. I use that to block it off and say, oh, it's not. I usually say that to sometimes. I say that sometimes, okay, it's not the main fault of racism. It's your goddamn self. But it's in naturality, you have to understand what Jim Crow laws are. You got to understand what Willie Lynch is. You got to understand that psychological warfare they already put in place. Okay. And then you can compare those things to the Orientals who make it successful. You can compare it to those who are, other races, okay, who are lighter colored, okay. But we're not talking about that here, whites on white slavery here. We're talking about the most recent thing that just happened, okay. Within 500 years ago, okay, we had slavery from the African tribes, okay. I don't care if the Africans sold them off, because even Africans in their country, they're being taken advantage of by the Oriental and the Caucasoids. So racism, as I said before in the past, is basically more of a white term. So if whites had whites in slavery, they've been racist upon themselves with their own kind. They will call them the lowly hillbilly. Okay, they will call them poor white trash. They will say, okay, you are part of that. You're part of that. Even back in this fucking country, whites who tried to defend blacks were actually called Negroes at one time. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So when they tried to stand up for African Americans' rights in this country before the 60s and before the 50s, I was like, what? They were called Negroes simply because they tried to assist and help the Negroes out of these situations. And as a matter of fact, you have to understand that blacks did try to achieve many things, and they did achieve many things, but it was destroyed by the white man. Okay, hey, Larry Elder, okay, I can understand how he's using this dark psychology, which is good, just like Tommy Sotomayor. Okay, Tariq Nasheed doesn't use the dark psychology. I use dark psychology more too, okay? But I'm not a coon, though. You got to understand that the more intelligent someone becomes, they try to not to use slavery and racism as a crutch. You understand? But it still doesn't happen. It has happened to me. For example, when I was in court, okay, I was told by my attorney, which my dad paid for, like, you're in the white state. Okay, I'm like, yo, this is an easy case. And did you know that in the justice system, you're actually guilty until proven innocent, especially when it comes to heinous crimes, okay? You know what I'm saying? But you still start off guilty, okay? You have to defend yourself. You need evidence. And I'm like, I thought the system was supposed to defend for me easily, but no, he told me you're black, okay? And I was shocked that he told me that. I said, they know my past. And I was like, wait a minute, this is a systematic liberal system and which is being destroyed systematically by the Republican GOP, okay? And I have proof of this. Let me explain here. Let me go down the list of things so we can get this shit out of the way. I'm gonna title this shit, Larry Elder, Thomas Sowell, okay, debates, okay? And also psychology. I'm gonna call it psychology. And I'm gonna try to explain to you they're not empaths. They do not feel what blacks feel, majority. They don't feel that impact of psychological Willie Lynch syndrome. They don't feel it, okay? Because they slipped through the cracks, okay? I was one of those guys who actually slipped through the cracks, but in a more abstract way, okay? The system kind of picked me up, so the white man supports me through their governmental system systematically. And the way this, I'm graceful, I'm grateful, but at the same time, I can still understand the black suffering and sorrows because I'm an empath. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Now let me go down the list here. Okay. I believe there's 20 to 30%, okay, of racism in this country, simply because of my experiences personally. And I'm an educated black man, as they would call me too sometimes. But I have been rejected simply because of the color of my skin. I have been pulled over because of the color of my skin a few times too. And I was like, what? So race, as I say before, racism is a form of a white face, okay, not a black face. Now, if you want to try to take it there, take it to Africa, and you say, "Oh, blacks kill blacks," I say, "Is that still racism?" That's black racism. That's a different topic altogether, okay. But it's still racism, though. They look at different ethnic groups, backgrounds, and even the color of your skin, the way your facial features are. That's how they describe you. So, but still, racism as a broad aspect is still ethnic and color, okay, upon your own ways of being about, okay. So if you go against their tribe, then they will be racist against you, okay? You know what I'm saying? And they will, just like the KKK, they existed in this country, and also the Confederates, they know, okay? As a matter of fact, I have hillbillies, associates that I used to talk to, and they told me specifically, this country is definitely 50%. I said, I think it's less. I was arguing with them. I said, they didn't hang my ass in the woods simply because I was funny, okay? So I'm a lucky Negro, okay? So I'm like, okay, a lot of hillbillies say that they wait for an opportune time to kill a nigga in the trees. They don't like you, okay? They don't like you, Negroes. And I'm just being honest. And the voice tells me this too at the same time. It's a lot of stress for me, okay? That's the main negative thing. Though I'd rather be Negro than any other color race, right? For the benefits of sexual peacockness. And I understand that there's a lot of racists who would say, oh, black people are dirty, but they don't understand, okay? That's an attractive color, okay? I know their IQ may not be as high, okay? But they can come up there. They could be right up there to the white man, okay? You know, you got some educated black men with white beards and stuff, you know. I can't think of them now, okay? You got Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, okay? And now you got these individuals, Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell, okay, highly intellectual individuals, civil rights movements leaders, okay, and you should understand that Abraham Lincoln was a Republican, which freed the African Americans in the Emancipation Proclamation or whatever, okay, you know what I'm saying? But you still have to say that's a plan, though. They set that shit up. They freed the slaves so they could monopolize on everyone, including the Negroes, including the Chinese, through capitalism, okay. So since you understand that point, you have to understand that if someone seems unempathetic, okay, all right, this might be going on for 10 minutes. You have to understand this situation and their anger. They don't want blacks, okay, lower minority blacks, to be taking it and using it as a crutch so they can feed off the system. And I agree with that. I say, hey, you're right about that. But you have to understand this racism still does exist. I got myself in some trouble for doing the right things, okay? And basically, I know that this racism exists. Even my teachers in classes, like I said, one of my teachers said, I asked the question, I said, do you think there's still racism in this country? And he said it's only 2%. I was like, but I didn't fight him. I didn't want to debate because I'm not a psychic, okay? I'm just trying to tell you what I feel deep down inside and what had happened to me, okay? Racism still does exist, and it keeps African Americans down, okay? It keeps them down, but it also makes them stronger. Yes, it is. But I believe, okay, let me see. What else is there? But I digress here, okay? Let me see. It's a systematic thing, okay? Whites who own, like I said, whites who own whites can still be called racist because they're using their ethnic background, their background. They're not just using their facial features, okay? They're using algorithms, okay? They're looking at, okay, they came from here and it's gonna, we're going to get them, okay? A witch is a witch. If a witch is starting to talk about some science and shit, they'll kill everybody who's into science, okay? That's a form of racism, okay? But it's still more of a white thing, okay? Because I believe that the white man is the invaders, okay? They're the invaders that came from another world, okay? And anyone who looked different from them and they didn't have their technology, they destroyed them, okay? Then they caused the systematic thing to stir up, okay? All right, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, you know I'm right, motherfucker. And I don't want to argue with Larry Elder because I can understand their dark psychology. You understand what dark psychology is? It's using, it makes, when someone's using dark psychology, it's usually they're trying to be like a coon, okay? People will call them coons and say, oh, I don't care about blacks. But they really do care about blacks because they're using psychology. They're using the reverse psychology of it, okay? They're using the dark side of psychology, saying we don't want it to make an excuse. So we're going to point at the reasons why, okay? Now there's 75% of out-of-born weight likes. Of course, back in those days it was 25%. That's because the white man set it up that way. See, the white man set it up that way. And you may think that I'm being the cool one like that, but I'm like, hey, but think about it. The white man had complete control. I'm talking about recently. We're not talking about whites and whites. See, the thing is that when you got Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell, they go back to the history. They'll be like, okay, what about white on white racism? I said, this is not recent. That's before the slavery, 500 years. That's before. We're not talking about that now here. We're not talking about the boats and shit like that. We're not talking about Christopher Columbus here. You understand? We're talking about the most current. Okay. And the African Americans are basically affected the most. So how I'm trying not, people will call me coon. I say, I'll talk to them directly. I'll say, you are at fault. You got to come up. Okay. You are at fault. Okay. You got to come up. But when I see it, mainly it affects the women, okay? Because the women are the ones who are the breadwinners, they say, okay? And I said, they use their pussy all the time. They're high-class prostitutes. So now it's time for the men to teach the women that not to do those certain things because that's what's destroying the community. It's the women, okay? And as I said before, it seems like I may have a spiteful taste for women, but I'm trying to tell you that's the core reason. Women cause wars in the whole entire world. And if you want to connect it, we could talk about it. This is why MGTOW is growing up. That's why the welfare is being cut, which is shouldn't have never happened in the first place. Okay, we got these section 8, which doesn't even benefit men. Okay, I'm like, wait a minute. If we want to have a diverse country, okay, where illegals come into this country, okay, and illegals find this information and tries to take advantage of it, and they're getting an illegal, and they're smarter than Africans, okay, which is pretty strange, okay, because that's just how it is, okay. It's a mentality thing. It's a psychosis. It's a psychology. Okay, whoever's African is stuck in this country have a chain around their mind, okay? And since I didn't have the chain, I broke free from it. I'd rather use the dark psychology side. I can understand what they're doing, but they're not empathizing with the suffering of those lower minority Negroettes, okay? Negroettes are just women who just don't give a fuck. They don't want to listen to no man. You got black feminism, which is definitely 10 times stronger than white feminism. Okay, this white feminism is just a little bit more, educated to a degree. They try to get out there in the media and shit like that. While the black women are sitting in the boondocks somewhere, educating the white women on what to do. Because the black women was actually slaves. They were house Negroes. Okay, remember? And that's how they educated the white women and say, okay, you want freedom, you want equality, you have to free yourself from the slacker. Okay, and the white man says, fuck this, we already know everything. All right, so now let's go into but I digress here. Let me see what else is there, okay? Okay, we're not talking about white on whites. We're not talking about yellow on yellow. We're not talking about black on blacks, okay? But it's still all a form of racism, okay? But it's still a white face because the white face existed and started with the racism. long before the black on black. So if you go to Africa, you see some blacks killing Tutus and Tutsis, okay? That started way before, okay? There was corruption before that time. There was an asteroid that hit the planet. Shiva destroyed the planet one time, if you want to believe in that shit. Okay, now let me see. Thomas Sowell and Larry Elder and a couple other individuals I can't name right now are the ones who slip through the cracks, but they don't feel empathy. They don't feel that pain and suffering. Okay, they're very highly educated to a degree. Okay, to the point to where they will not feel for human suffering. As I said before, it's really the women. Okay, it's the Negro women that need to be educated. Because when you go to these meetings and Thomas Sowell is speaking, and then Larry Elder is speaking, and or any highly intellectual black man educated, is usually no women there, and that's the core reason. So now you got a spike. 75% of the African women, and only 13% are basically fucking so too much. Okay, having multiple kids, and then you got. I don't believe the fact that he said this stat. He said that just a fraction, 6% of the African Americans are killing up, doing 50% of the crimes to white people. Now I can understand how they hurt each other. Okay, but there's more white people committing more crimes than blacks. Okay. So, but it's not televised on TV. So he's falling for the media outlet. There's also Latinos and Hispanics and stuff like that, So you're telling me that the blacks are spreading over into the white communities and killing motherfuckers. And they're still committing over 50% of the crimes. Maybe he's talking about the black on black crime. But nobody never talks about that shit. Because I've seen the stats, okay? I just don't believe that, okay? And also, I know that cops are killing more whites because there is more whites, okay? Technically, okay? There's more whites, okay? So I'm like, okay, but I digress. Let's continue on, okay? I'll make this 20 minutes so we can get this shit out the way. As I say, I'm not taking sides. You may consider me more of a coon, though, okay? Because I use dark psychology like they do. But I'm trying to say, when I talk to blacks, I'm saying this is what you got to do. Okay? I'm giving them direct, easy instructions, okay? So we can get up out of the rut, okay? And let me see, what else is there? Okay, like I said before, I've experienced racism in the court system. I called the police, and he told me, my lawyer told me some shit. He looked like Santa Claus when he told me. He was like red in the face. Was like, you're in the white state. Okay, I'm like, Pennsylvania. Okay, yeah, I can understand. Okay, but that's beside the point here. Karma Dharma. Okay, I believe most niggers deserve what they get because of karma dharma. Because when I was picked on, when I was younger, okay, they did some despicable things. They just was lazy. They wasn't not interested. They wasn't interested in education. So this is the reason why I feel. And also, I got hurt by a chick. I almost killed myself because of one chick, okay? Suicide. I was going to commit myself. I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. If I read a book before, if I actually did have a proper dad, which I really didn't, okay, then I would probably be a better man. But Larry Elder did say it's mainly about the character, lack of father figure that's in the family, okay? But most black women is the ones at fault because they're not going to listen to that shit. They feel this black feminism is going to keep them arise, okay? And they think they're black queens, but they're really not, okay? So but I digress. I'm going to continue on, okay? The spiritual warfare, okay, is against also the flesh, okay? So that means that, if you have a spiritual, I have a black face while they have a white face. And that can determine if they want to be racist upon you. Now, I said that because of the Jesse Owens. I think it was his name, Jesse Owens. He has his own talk show. And he tried to break down some Israelites. And I know for a fact that religion is just false, okay? And I keep saying that the spiritual war is not just through the spiritual soul. It's with your flesh as well, okay? Because you're wearing flesh, okay? You're being judged by the character of your outlook of your book, okay? The cover of your book, okay? The way you act, the way you carry yourself. Now, okay, let's continue on, okay? Overall, it's the white man's responsibility to break this so-called curse, because there is a curse upon the white man, okay? And I've talked about that so many times, okay? And this is what this curse called racism, okay? Which they started from the beginning of time, okay? Okay, I don't want to hear any stories about Egyptians who actually created the white man or whatever, because they still more intellectually more on the higher scale. And even if they escaped the Egyptian powers or whatever that be, the creation stories I've read are pretty fantastic. Okay, I don't want to talk about the ancient times because I wasn't there. Okay, I'm just trying to tell you, 9 times out of 10, you look at the white man, they are a different biological. They are a different type of DNA, a DNA structure, because I study DNA also, genetics, because I told you before, I'm like a Renaissance man, okay, and I like to study a little bit of everything, okay, and I try to read as much, but I narrow it down to a little bit so you can understand. Now it's 20 minutes, wow, okay. Now, okay, let's go on to the next subject here, okay. Solutions. I consider the solutions is looking at just the black athletes. And every black successful person who made it at least over 50%, they are the ones at fault. So we now have a dilemma on our hands where people are successful in this country more than the whole entire world, 10 times more. Like I made a video on that, how African Americans are even only 2% or even 3% are more intelligent than almost every motherfucking country in the motherfucking world. That's kind of crazy, right? Okay. You don't believe me? Fuck you. I'm not making it up, okay? I did my research here, and I'm like, if it's only 2% of those intellectual men, predominantly men, okay, or who are highly intelligent, okay, even like you got Thomas Sowell and Larry Elder and Darwin, okay, who look black, okay, who speak powerful. And they basically could do a whole lot of recuperation, fixing the country, regeneration, bringing diversity at a better stage. Then they can destroy the whole world if they want to. Okay, yeah, I think of Cornel West. Okay, that's one of them. Okay, I think of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. I think of those civil rights activists. I see all those individuals who are very powerful indeed. But you got all these athletes and athletes who can support that Negro movement and actually help society by educating the women. Like I said before, the whole core purpose is the women, so they can keep themselves not as equal to men, because the problem is that women are not equal to men. And until you get that wall, that veil out of the way for women to understand how they can respect a man, and how they understand that they're not equals and knock that ego down. The same thing for Caucasoids versus Negroes. Whites are a bit higher than blacks, okay, when it comes to intellectualism. So you got to understand that there's a veil that blacks need to understand and respect, okay. You understand what I'm saying? I may be sounding cooning when I say it, but I'm trying to say that there's different races or species, white, black, yellow, whatever, who know more knowledge than the other, okay? I don't care if it's stolen, okay? For right now, it is just basically like that, okay? Now, blacks may be more superior in dancing and different certain athletes and stuff like that, but whites are more superior than this. Like I said before, Chinese are superior to this. The red men is superior than this, okay? All right? Okay, so blacks are more affected currently by a slavery mentality, psychologically speaking, and also the Indians, the red men, okay, over all other combined races, okay? Isn't that some crazy shit? Yeah, it's a fact, okay? So you can't really knock out that racism is not at fault, okay? The KKK existed in this country. Even Hitler himself, okay, was going to exterminate other white races who are not like the German race, which is like actually higher than the regular Caucasoid races. There's I think they're what kind of white man is the fucking Germans, okay? They're Aryan race, the Aryan race. Oh my God, man. You got the northern white cracker. You got the southern white cracker. You got the Icelandic cracker. You got the fucking Switzerland cracker. And you already know that 70% of the world's atmosphere and continents has been dominated by either a Queen Elizabeth or the European empires, imperialism, or Roman, Greek. Come on now. Oh my God, okay. When they see blacks, they see them as belittle and they destroy them easily like a fucking ant on the fucking ground. How disrespectful and how rude. But what about karma dharma? Have you ever thought about that? The solutions I've already made clear. If you got all the few elite of blacks, all of the athletes who are in football and sports and stuff like that, they combine their efforts, they can almost help the whole world. I believe so. Their money is multi-billionaires. Look at Oprah. Oh my God, man. And then if you go to African countries, you can see they're multi-billionaires over there. I think the richest black person in the world is in another country, Mubanja. I forgot. I made a video on that shit too, okay? All right? So like I said, I'm not taking sides, but I'm just saying it exists. Racism exists, and it does pull down even intellectual black men who are trying to struggle and who's trying to make it. All right? Okay, and I have sought. I'm no longer ambitious anymore because I'm more of a mystic side now. I don't really care for that shit no more. Okay, every time you try to, I put my hand out there a little bit. If it gets burned, then I give up. Okay, I do not. When it comes to hard work, it's my mind is hard work. Okay, I have to do what my mindset. I don't have a slave mentality. I actually looked down upon Negroes when I was growing up. How about them apples, motherfuckers? I didn't like a lot of Negroes when I was growing up because I was getting picked on. What do you think I'm supposed to feel? How am I supposed to feel about that? But I had more white cracker friends, right? But you got to think about that now, okay? I'm assisting the crackers, and I'm also assisting the Negroes at the same time. But the only way to seem to help Negroes these days is to put them down, because all they're doing is doing the same redundant shit. History fucking repeats itself, all right? Now, what is this? But I digress. Anything I missed? I told you I had cracker, hillbilly, Southern associates, okay? And I understand the struggle. I understand the struggle, but it's usually the women who's struggling in it. And I've dated so many black women. Okay, you got to have a broad aspect of all different types of things. Okay, a lot of black women are very corrupted. They are no longer, even the daughters are corrupted. Once a black woman, okay, creates a child, that is the end of society in every aspect at even 0.1%. Okay, 0.1%. I'm tell you right now. Now they don't. Larry Elder probably wasn't a pimp. Thomas Sowell probably wasn't a pimp, or probably even played with females behind the back. He didn't play with dildos. They didn't play with women all like that. They were in an isolated state. Okay. Now when it comes to Chicago, them motherfuckers they have to defend for themselves. All right. So I'm gonna end this off with this through experience. Okay. So if you have experience in every different department, in every different field. And you can, as I said, I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying I experienced my fucking racism myself, and it was wrong, okay? Which caused me to go through a dilemma, okay? All right? You have to be empath sometimes, okay? But they are non-empathetic, okay? Okay, even Tommy Sotomayor, okay? Tyreek Nasheed is trying to educate people on the history of fucking, African Americans, okay? The slaveries, the Moors, okay? Which I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. It's about fixing yourself. Peace and love to you, brothers and sisters of Lander. Welcome to my page. I'm going to title this Larry Elder and Thomas Sowell. Psychology of them. So people can understand they're not really coons, okay? Peace.